Hey everyone, so it's Hearth and welcome back to my channel. On today's video, we're going to be talking about the simple ways that you can celebrate Samhain. Samhain is by far my favourite of all of the festivals. I do love lots of others, including Beltane and Yule and Letha, but there is something about the spooky season of Samhain that really gets me happy and excited. For any of you who aren't aware what Samhain is one of the festivals that make up the Wheel of the Year in Neo-Paganism and Wicca, but the festival actually predates these. It's one of the Celtic fire festivals and is now celebrated as a symbol of abundance, of harvest, as well as of remembrance and connection with ancestors and the spirits of the dead. It's a time where the veil between our world and the spiritual world is at its thinnest, and so we have better opportunity to connect with, communicate with ancestors and loved ones, remember those who have passed over, but it's also a time of harvest, abundance, and setting ourselves up for the winter to come. For many practitioners and pagans, it's their new year, the celebration that marks the turning of the wheel. But for others, it's simply a really interesting celebration, and one that is often fairly widely accepted. Samhain takes place on the 31st of October, a date that many of you will be familiar with as the date of Halloween, which is a modern adaptation of the Samhain festivities. And so many practitioners will feel that they can more openly express their witchy side because it is more accepted at this time of year. For many, however, they aren't able to participate in coven rituals or large celebrations. And so for this video, I wanted to focus on the simple celebrations that you can carry out as a solo practitioner or as a coven or group. Some of these things are going to be more accessible to those of you who aren't openly practicing than others, so feel free to pick and choose and adapt what you can to fit your own magical practice and your spiritual beliefs. It's important to remember that there's no one right way to follow or practice these festivities. Do what you can and do what you feel comfortable with. And if you can't do everything all in one year, that's fine too. Most people will only do really small celebrations of one, maybe two things. It's really not important that you do everything in this list, just that you do what makes you happy. So with that being said, let's get into some of the super simple things that you can do to celebrate Samhain. Wow, that is kind of a tongue twister. The first thing you can do to celebrate the Samhain season is to take some time to rest and recuperate. It might sound a little counterintuitive. After all, aren't we meant to be celebrating this season, not doing nothing? But generally, many practitioners will take the Sabbat off. They'll spend the time resting and recuperating, contemplating the progress that they've made, and especially at this time of year, it's a good time to be thinking and remembering the people who we've lost, or those who have gone before us in the form of ancestors. It's a time to look back at the progress that we've made in the previous year, look into books of shadows, dream journals, divination diaries, and have a look at the things that we spoke about, the things that we practiced, and the things that we wrote down to see what came true, what manifested, what didn't. Think about all of the things that you've achieved or you've set in motion so that in the coming year we can really progress even further with all of those things. Especially as the winter is drawing nearer and nearer, it's a great time to rest, recuperate, build up your strength both spiritually, energetically and emotionally as we go forwards into what will probably be quite a long winter. Now, you don't have to do absolutely nothing when it comes to resting and recuperating. It's simply about not pushing yourself to do a whole bunch of things. If you don't feel as though you're up to doing a bunch of readings or a bunch of spells and rituals, then you don't need to. Resting is a perfectly suitable way of celebrating. If you would like to remember the people you've lost in a more active way, you can light a candle for them. This is something that is done in many different traditions around the world, and within witchcraft and paganism, it's no different. Oftentimes at this time of year, people will light a candle in remembrance for each person that they've lost, whether that's this year or whether that's over their entire lifetime. To light a candle chases darkness away, it illuminates your space, and it can also act as an offering to the people that you've lost, especially now the veil is so thin between our world and the spiritual world. You can, if you like, add other things to these candles. You can have photographs and memorabilia of these people around them if you would like a little bit more emphasis or connection to the person that you're lighting the candle for. If you want to, you can progress this even further and create what's known as an Ancestor Altar. Now, Ancestor Altars aren't just for Samhain or Halloween, they are for all year round. But many people feel drawn to starting an Ancestor Altar at this time of year because the connection with the people we've lost is so much closer. I have recently done a video on Ancestor Altars, so if you would like to check that out, I will link it in the description box. But these Ancestor Altars can be for the people that you know, and also the people that you don't know. These are known as the known and the unknown dead. So you can create an Ancestor Altar for people in your direct family, people that you knew personally. But if you don't know the people in your family, you can also do it for the unknown dead. These are ancestors whom you know must have existed because you're here, but you don't necessarily know who they are, or where they lived, or when they lived. These Ancestor Altars are wonderful to start at this time of year, and many people will experience communication with their ancestors much more frequently during this season than they will during others, mostly because it's so much easier to connect to them. Along a similar vein, many people will choose to have a dumb supper on Samhain night or around the Samhain season. A dumb supper is where you will leave a place setting and a place at the table along with food for ancestors or people you have lost recently. This acts as a food offering, and so it can be a literal space at the table with a full plate of food, or it can be leaving an offering of food or whatever it is that you are eating on your Ancestor Altar as a way of giving them something in return, of acknowledging their presence and welcoming them into your home and into your life. People don't just do this on Samhain. This is a tradition that many people will do every week or every month outside of the Samhain season, but it's something that is very popular to be done during this time of year. Now, giving offerings to ancestors in any form is a good thing to do at this time of year, and it doesn't just have to be to ancestors. It could also be to spirits and deities. Now, depending on the spirits, deities, and ancestors that you're working with, the offerings are going to be different. So if you are working with a particular deity or spirit, you might want to either ask them and or do the research to figure out the kind of offerings that they might like. Generally though, there's a few commonly accepted offerings that you can give. This includes water, fresh water, which is offered every day or every week on the altar. It could also be strong alcohols that will evaporate quickly, such as vodka, whiskey, and the like. It can also be burning of candles, particularly those that are dressed with oils, or it can be the burning of incense and leaving of food. There's quite a lot of options there, but what specifically you choose is going to depend on who it is that you are working with. And so it's well worth doing the research to figure out what it is specifically that they're going to like the best. I mentioned earlier that communication with ancestors was much easier at this time of year than it maybe would be during other times, particularly if you don't have a strong connection with them yet. That's true not only with ancestors, but also with deities and other spirits. And so many practitioners and pagans alike will choose to undertake spirit communication during this time of year. You can do this in many ways, through dreams, through meditations, through trance, through journeying. You can also do this with direct divination techniques such as pendulums and tarot. There are many different ways of doing this. The one thing I will say though is to be very careful. During the Samhain season, it is very easy to communicate with spirits, and they aren't always going to be friendly or who it is that you want to communicate with. So keep your guards up. Make sure that you protect yourself and be very wary of what the spirits tell you. Just because a spirit is telling you that it's Auntie Doris, that doesn't mean it actually is. So make sure that you're being careful, you're not giving away too much information, you're not believing too many things, unless they're things that you can fact check and verify. Because a lot of people have this idea that spirits can't lie, when in reality a lot of spirits are tricky to deal with. So just bear that in mind going forwards, but it is a good time to do spirit communication if it's something that you want to pursue. Working with spirits and ancestors isn't something that every practitioner wants to undertake. And so if you want to celebrate Samhain, there's many things that you can do that don't involve that. One of them is to wear the colours of the season. My personal favourite colours of Samhain are orange, brown and black, and so I will typically wear that in my makeup, in my nail polish, in my clothes. As I did today, I figured I may as well demonstrate it for the purpose of the video. These are the kind of things that you can incorporate into your wardrobe, into your makeup, into your nails, into your socks. You can simply have pieces of coloured card in your pockets. You can coordinate your jewellery or your pens. There's so many things that you can do just to add that little bit of Samhain energy into your life. The Samhain colours don't have to be used just in what you wear, they can also be added into your space. Adding a little bit of colour into your environment is a great way of incorporating the Sabbat into your everyday life. This can be something really small, like simply changing a bit of artwork here or there, putting some miniature pumpkins around, or it can be as elaborate as creating a large Samhain altar. For me, Sabbat altars are one of my favourite things to do, and my Samhain altar is almost always my favourite. So for any of you who would like a little extra inspiration for their Samhain altar, here is me setting up my altar in probably 4 times speed. I went all out on my altar this year because Samhain is my favourite time of year, so I just went all pumpkins. Pumpkins everywhere. Big pumpkins, little pumpkins, artwork with pumpkins, pumpkin illustrations, doesn't matter, pumpkins are my thing. It's one thing that we're seeing a lot in England at this time of year are pumpkin fields, and so it's really nice when you drive out into the countryside to see orange and white pumpkins dotted around everywhere. So for me it's something that really resembles this time of year, so I did go a little pumpkin crazy, but you know what, I'm okay with that. My house is full of pumpkins. If you've never noticed, there's actually one right there. That little grey skull thing is actually a grey Halloween pumpkin, and it's been there this entire time, and I bet none of you even noticed. If you would like to share your Samhain altar, if you're setting one up yourself, or you would like to gain some more inspiration, you can share or join the Discord server. The link is in the description box where you can chat all about the things you're doing this Samhain. If a large altar is a little too much for you, you can also create altars in shoeboxes. I actually set up the background on my electronic devices to be Sabbat themed, and so I will have a different background on my phone or my iPad as a representation of the Sabbat season, and it acts as a mini altar or a mini Sabbat celebration, which could be really good if you can't set anything up in your home or in your room because you do have people who aren't accepting of what it is that you practice or believe in your living environment. If you need something a little bit more accepted to do at this time of year, then carving pumpkins and placing candles in them is a great thing to do. Not only are the pumpkins a representation of the harvest season, but the carving of a pumpkin was believed to scare away unwanted spirits, and it's fairly traditional to place candles in windows or outside at this time of year as a way to guide wayward lost spirits to their final resting place. Many spirits are confused. They don't really understand what's going on, and so Samhain is a wonderful time to allow spirits to freely pass over to where it is that they need to be. Now, candles can be placed in windows, though please do not just place a candle on a windowsill. Make sure it is in a suitable container and that there's no flammable materials around it, so don't be putting a candle in a windowsill and then closing the curtains. That's a bad idea. But having the curtains open and placing a candle in a safe, enclosed candle container can be a great way to celebrate the season, and it's also fairly commonplace. You can simply do this outside, inside a pumpkin, which is what most people do with pumpkins anyway. You core out the insides, you carve a face into it, and you put a candle inside. This acts in a similar way, and it is far more accepted than many of the more spiritual or witchy practices that many people do carry out at this time of year. And if you don't feel comfortable placing a candle in the windowsill, you can also use LED candles. Although, of course, you aren't going to be connecting with the fire element, the light aspect of the candle is still going to be there. So if that's what you feel comfortable with, or if that's all you can do, if you're in student accommodation or rented accommodation, you can do that as well. Because it is a harvest festival, cooking some good food is typically done at this time of year. Often they're things that will commemorate this season. Things like casseroles, soups, and pies are all really commonplace at this time of year, and they can be really good to incorporate into the idea of a dumb supper, which I spoke about earlier. Now, you don't have to go all out to cook something. You can just get some Halloween-themed snacks, and as long as you're feeling that it commemorates the Samhain season, then that's really all that's important. Many people consider Samhain to be the new year, and because of that, they will do a cleansing to bring in a fresh start for the year to come. But even if you don't consider Samhain to be the new year, doing cleansing is a really good thing at this time of year, particularly when spirits and energies are so high. If you work with spirits, you probably cleanse quite frequently, but if you don't, now is a great time to do one. I would recommend both personal cleansings as well as a house cleansing. So something like a salt bath or a shower cleanse is a good option at this time of year, as well as thoroughly cleansing your house to remove it of any unwanted spirits and energies. With house cleansings, you can do this in many ways. I have several videos on the subject that I will link in the description box, but I would typically say that you should do this a few times during the Samhain season, or try to wait it out till maybe November 1st, as that way you can allow the energy to build up and you can experience it, and then you can remove anything that you don't want to maintain for the rest of the year. Because as the veil is very thin, things can come and go very easily, so you might find that you need to do far more cleansings than you normally would at this time of year. To limit the amount that you need to do, however, I would recommend doing some protection workings. These could be personal protections, home protections, shields, wards. There's so many different options, but because the energy levels are so high and because spirit activity is so frequent, you might find that a little bit of extra protection is needed at this time of year, especially if you are planning on doing any spirit work, any summoning, any communication. With these kind of workings and rituals, I would typically have a little bit of extra protection than I normally would. Not only can you cleanse your energy, your space, and your person, but you can also cleanse your mind. Now is a good time to be removing any unwanted energies. You can do this by writing them on paper and then burning them to release them or washing them away. These are things that you can also do in relation to a bonfire, which is a fairly common thing that people will have at this time of year, whether around the Samhain season or just after on Guy Fawkes night or bonfire night. You'll commonly find bonfires, whether they are community or whether they are personal, just as long as you are being completely safe while doing it. Make sure that you have fire safety equipment nearby and all of that good stuff. But the burning and releasing of things you want to get rid of is really cathartic at this time of year, especially the things that you've been lugging around with you for months probably. Sit quietly, think about what it is that you want to remove from your life, write them on a piece of paper. You can scrunch it up into a ball if you like, you can tear it, you can rip it, you can fold it, you can stamp on it, whatever you like, and then you throw it into the fire. And that action of casting it out, of removing it from your life, releases it with the fire element, and you are rid of it. As long as you aren't actively backsliding and reverting to the things that you were doing before, it's a really great way of releasing things as you move forwards. If you don't want to do this with a bonfire, however, you can simply return things to the earth, preferably little slips of paper written with pencil so that there's nothing dangerous or harmful there, and then you can return it to the earth by burying it in a plant pot full of soil or into the ground on your property, just as a way of allowing the water and the earth and the bacteria to break it all down and essentially disintegrate your worries and your concerns and the things you want to let go of into nothing. That's a good option, especially if you can't burn things. You can just have a plant pot, and you can take it a step further by planting something in the plant pot. That way you are transforming all of the things that you want to remove from yourself, from your mind, from your life, and you are transforming them into something new, something fresh, something beautiful. You're taking something horrible and turning it into something lovely. And that is a great way of doing some transformative magic at this time of year. And ironically, the cauldron is a common symbol of Halloween and Samhain, and that is one of the many symbols of transformation. Now could be a good time of doing some readings for the Sabbat ahead, so between Samhain and Yule. It could also be a good time to do general readings for the entire year to come, particularly if you are one of those who see Samhain as being the new year. It's also a good time to do readings on people you have lost, people who've passed over, and communicate with them, as we mentioned earlier. Alongside all of this though, there's also some spells and rituals. Now, not everyone is going to want to do active spell work during this time of year, and that's completely fine. But for those of you who do, there's quite a few options. You can do workings to help magnify abundance and prosperity, particularly if you are wanting to work with plants like pumpkins. This is a good thing to do at this time of year because it is, after all, a harvest festival, even if it is often overshadowed by other aspects of the celebration. Most people, however, will probably choose to do some removal workings. These can include cleansings, banishings, bindings, release, cord cutting, and protections. They're all good things to do at this time of year, but especially for those of you who like working with spirits, now is a great time to do your spell work and ritual. But for those of you who don't like the energy at this time of year, it is completely valid if you don't want to practice when the veil is so thin and when the energy is so high. Don't feel bad if you don't feel comfortable doing it, especially for those of you who are concerned about or scared of spirits. It isn't something that you need to be ashamed of. If you would like to work with spirits and you're nervous about it, that's something that is going to progress with time. It isn't a switch that you just turn on and you're fine with it, especially if you've been brought up in a household that's very fearful of spirits and the things that Samhain all surrounds. It's going to take time for you to progress with that. And if you straight up don't feel comfortable with it, then that's fine too. It just means that you're going to be celebrating it in a slightly different way, maybe focusing more on the harvest aspect, the transformation aspect, or maybe connecting with your ancestors or your lineage, those kind of things. There are lots of options when it comes to Samhain, and this really is the tip of the iceberg. So hopefully you found something in here that you want to do this Samhain. I would love to know the kind of things that you're going to be doing to celebrate, so feel free to let me know in the comments section. It will give me ideas, and it will give the rest of the community ideas as well, and it's just really nice to hear what other people do to celebrate this time of year. If you did like this video, please give it a like, it really means so much to me. And if you do enjoy the magical content on this channel or in this video, feel free to hit subscribe. I try to post magical content every single week. And a massive thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. I haven't shouted you out for a while now, and I feel it's about time I go ahead and do that. The names of some of my supporters are on the end screen, and if you would like to support the channel yourself, all of the links to do so are in the description box. But just remember, first and foremost, you just watching these videos is so much support to me, and I really, really appreciate it. Anything else is simply a beautiful bonus, and I appreciate all of you for your continued support, whether that is liking videos, commenting on them, sharing them, whatever it is that you do. I really appreciate you. So with that being said, I hope you have a marvelous magical day, and I hope you have a super spooky Samhain season, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! Let's try and do this without breaking something, which you'd think would be easy, but actually is surprisingly difficult. Like, I have a great tendency to break things, so doing what I wanted to do, no it is not. This and then this, and hope that this stays where it needs to be, and it's not. Oh no! Need to figure out this light thing, because you can see it reflecting. I ripped off like half my nails as well. Like, look at this. Look at the damage that I did ripping off my orange and black gel nails that I really should have kept because it would have matched. It's spooky season, and now that I'm doing the Samhain video, I can officially put on my black lipstick again because that's that. Obviously, that's the default response. Okay, I need to turn this on before I forget, because the last few videos I filmed, I forgot to turn it on, and you can really tell in the background. Okay, what if I just zoomed you in past it? You know, like, zoom you in enough so that you can't see that. See, that's too dark now. I look blue. Okay, I'm gonna make it shorter. Okay. Whoa, I glow. What about that? Is that way better? No. Should I? Okay. Lower it a bit more. Whoa, I'm like lit from a sun. Okay. I am still just like lit from a near star. Is that okay? Honestly, it's really hard to tell till I get into my editor what the lighting looks like. There have been occasions where I've like fixed the lighting and I've actually just made it like 1,000 times worse, and then I filmed the rest of the video in that really questionable lighting. I kind of like this though. Like, that's very blue. It's blue outside, for reference. I'm actually filming during the day, which is what makes lighting so much harder, because if I was in like a studio, I wouldn't have to think about it because the lighting would always be the same. But because I'm using part natural, part synthetic lighting, it makes it so much harder. Stop procrastinating. Do I like my hair behind my ear? I feel like I need my hair behind my ear. Otherwise, my little skeleton friend gets kind of lost, and he's so cute. Look at him, he's so cute. So, where am I going with this? I don't know. Can you see these books? No, but you can see my vitamin D spray. So let's move that, because I'm a pasty ass little bitch who can't absorb vitamin D like a vampire. Okay. Do I like this? I mean, my option is either yes or fix it, and I don't really want to fix it. So I think we're going to go with yes, because the alternative sets me back even longer. Okay, I think that's everything. I'm honestly not sure. I find these videos incredibly difficult to do. Just because my brain is all over the place. It's like, oh, I want to talk about this now. No, I have to talk about this first. No, this comes first. No, that comes first. I might have bounced around everywhere on that one. So, oops. I'm just checking that my recording is still going, because the last time I filmed something, my recorder stopped and I panicked because I thought it had stopped partway through. It hadn't. It stopped after I'd finished. Thank goodness. But oh, that was awful. Okay, right, I am meant to have a video out for 6 o'clock. I've been trying to post 2 videos a week, every week from now till Christmas, but honestly, I forgot how long it takes me to film and edit 2 videos. Like, when I started my channel, I was doing 2 videos a week, but I wasn't editing anything, so I would just like sit down, talk about a topic, finish it, upload it, fine. I could do 2 videos a week, great. Now I spend like 20 hours a week editing 1 video, and I have other things I need to do as well. So I'm trying really hard on the 2 videos a week. I'm not sticking to it. However, it's going to be like, sometimes there's 2 videos, sometimes there's 1. I'm currently editing a Sabrina video. It's actually meant to be up at 6 p.m. tonight. It is currently 4:25. I'm dyslexic, so I nearly said 4:52. It's 4:25, and that needs to be up at 6, and it is not going to be up at 6. So if by the time this video comes out, you have not seen the Sabrina video, it will be up on either Sunday or Monday. I think. I hope. Watch me regret saying that now, because it won't be up. Okay, oh. I need to edit, so, okay, I'm procrastinating now. Oh, I'm gonna go. Okay, bye.